What's up, guys? Dennis here. Hope you're doing good. I want to do a video on something I was thinking about yesterday. I think it's pretty powerful. I don't know why I thought of this randomly yesterday, but I thought I'd make a video on it. So I was thinking yesterday when I was watching a video about all the social media platforms that we have and all the communication platforms that we have, and what the need is for them, really. Before, like a long time ago, we had remember we had the Nextel bleeps, the little walkie-talkie stuff, right? That was a form of communication. We had MySpace. We have Facebook now with, you can obviously post something. You can do Facebook Live. And you had Snapchat, do little videos. You had Vines, so you could do little 6-second videos. We have text messaging. We have phones. Twitter, where you're limited to a certain number of characters. And then I was thinking about, like, what's the point of all these different platforms? Like, what is their purpose in the grand scheme of things? I know their purpose is for the creators to create ad platforms so they can charge for advertising. But as far as, like, for the consumer side, the consumer end, what is the point in the grand scheme of things? It's like, do we really need Twitter to be limited to a certain number of characters? You're no longer even limited to characters on a text message anymore. So how did Twitter become such a big thing, and how is it still relevant? And we just have these different platforms that last a certain amount of time, and they go through these trends, right? And some are bigger than others. Snapchat was bigger months back. Now it's like more Instagram. And it's like they go through these cycles. But the point is, I started thinking about, like, what is the point of all this complication? All these platforms are just different ways of saying the same thing. Like, if you picked up the phone and called somebody, that would replace Twitter, Facebook, text messaging, Snapchat, Vine, Instagram, email, walkie-talkie. It would replace every single one of those. Yet the phone's been around for longer than all those platforms, but these platforms came about after the phone has been around, and they still managed to take hold, which doesn't really make much sense to me. But there's a level of complication and drama and advertising and companies trying to push their own agenda and marketing and all this stuff that comes with all those platforms and all these people sharing their opinions or whatever. But then I realized, like, what is the reason why, or at least in my opinion, the reason why these platforms have come about and taken hold is not because it's a communication piece per se, because we don't lack necessarily communication. We can get messages out faster and better than we've ever been able to as a society and as like a species. But it's not communication that I believe that's taken them hold or allowed them to take hold. It's a form of expression. And I realized that yesterday, that people just want to express themselves, and they're going to use different platforms that are popular at the time to try to express themselves in whatever way that platform allows. People will write comments on YouTube videos, right? You have comments on all these different platforms. You have Facebook Lives and all this stuff. People are just spitting out whatever they want to say, whatever they feel at the moment. It's just a form of expression. And people just want to express themselves, and they'll do it on whatever platform is popular and where they believe they'll get an audience. So that got me thinking, well, people just want expression, then all this other crap, all these platforms that come and go, are just really a waste of time, right? It adds so much complexity to something that's so simple. People think in fundamentally, like, they want expression, they want an audience, they want to have their own beliefs, their own opinions, they want to say something, and they want people to hear them. And it's just a form of expression. They want to look how they want to look, want to do what they want to do. And if it's all expression, then you can tone down all the other crap that comes with it, right? So I realize, like, how much complexity all this adds to our lives, just to do something so fundamental and basic. And I say that because our lives are so complicated, more complicated than they need to be. And what I strive to do now, what I've kind of been on a mission for myself for a little bit, is to make life simple. The things that add complexity and drama and stress and anxiety and all this crap is all complexity that's man-made. Both philosophies and actual physical materials, social constructs and expectations and norms. That's all man-made stuff that just makes your life heavy and complicated. And so I have this this habit now of looking at the big picture and simplifying it and not getting lost in the crap of it all, right? And if people just want expression and they can be what they want to be now without having to have people hear them or use all these different platforms to say something that you could say however you want to say it without even being part of any of these platforms. And that got me thinking, like, what's the point of it all? And I would recommend that you look at your life and see how complex it is and where you can remove some of the complexities that are just weighing you down. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I never really had an interest in those platforms, because I kind of saw them for what they were, and I'm not really the type of person to have to really explain myself or express myself on social media. I've never really cared about any of that stuff. But I would recommend that you peel back some of the layers of complexity in your life, and you can see things for what they are, and not follow trends or be in all this stuff and the drama of it all, and then what's next in the news and the politics and what happened here, and all that just puts weight on your life and ultimately wastes your time, because you're not really accomplishing anything on any of those platforms anyway. So I would advise, like, if you have that desire to feel like you need to express yourself so that people can hear you or you can get a reaction or whatever it is, I would advise that you recognize that in yourself so that you're not following the masses. Because for you, it might be a platform of expression or this cool thing for, friends and blah, 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 and post pictures and all this stuff. But what it's really created for is it's for advertising and marketing. That's all it is, right? That's why these platforms will start free. They're free for you. But for those that actually want to get a message across or sell a product or service, there's obviously an ad platform behind it all that you may not even know of because you don't use that. You're not looking at it that way, and that wasn't the purpose why you jumped on those platforms. So be careful in thinking that these things are like platforms for you to express yourself or do whatever. Usually more bad than good comes from it, and if all it's for, in the grand scheme of things, is communication, to pick up a phone and call somebody or meet somebody in person, because none of those forms of communication that exist now are better than calling someone or meeting someone in person. They will never ever replace the functionality and the effectiveness of simply sitting down with someone and talking to somebody, right? So try to make your life a little less complex by removing the stuff that adds weight to it, that adds drama and stress and anxiety, the things that are man-made. Try to go peeling back that stuff, because life should be simple, right? Life should be simple, and I realize all you need, right, is food, water, and shelter. And under shelter, you could add security if you want to, right? The rest of it is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. So I find that it's like this constant chase for satisfaction and fulfillment and happiness external from us, and that leads you to then look outward to go find something that's already there, but you don't see it because you're clouded in playing the game that everyone else is playing. And by making life simple, you can remove those things that you didn't add to. You're just partaking, and you don't see what they're actually doing, and how ineffective they can be or how detrimental they can be to your beliefs and the way you think about stuff. You know, I look at life way more simple now. And there's a power there, and this is why I want to make this video and videos like this. Because I feel this is the advantage that I have. I've had the awareness to seek simplicity. And that's huge. It's huge in everything that you do. Relationships are complex because you look at them in a certain way that, you know, where you're not filtering what you need to filter out, and so it takes a toll on your life. You bring in the wrong people in your life, or, you know, materialistic things. You want to pursue material stuff because that's what it looks like it's what you should be doing, right? Or that's how you're going to get respect and attention. Now you're seeking attention. That's complex. Attention is complex, and it goes both ways. You can have good attention and bad attention, so now it's going to add weight to your life, right? And you're chasing something that's external to you, so that affects you emotionally and mentally, psychologically, because you're doing something that you're not recognizing that you're doing, right? You're not recognizing it in yourself. So now you're doing something, looking for something external from you, because you haven't stopped to realize this is not something I need to pursue, or is it that's not going to get me anything, right? You're chasing the materialistic things to fill a void. It's never going to be filled by that, because the void needs to be filled by yourself. And the way you fill that void is to realize it's there, and that nothing else is going to fill it other than yourself. And in many cases, the void is to just, the way you fill that void is to just realize that you don't actually need to fill that, right? Oh, that's, you know, everyone feels like they need to have this car, or, you know, this, you need to look flashy and all this stuff, and you're chasing something, all this stuff that someone's putting in your face, right, to make it look like your life could be better with something that they gave you that's external to you. That adds complexity to your life. The way to start peeling those layers off is to have the awareness to see what it actually is. Oh, these guys are just marketing this to me. These guys are just pitching me this. They want me to feel like I'm not good enough, like I need something else outside of me, right? And then now you get hooked. And now you do that in different areas of your life, where now you have such a bogged down, stressful life, where you don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough resources. You know, you're spending money on things you don't need to fulfill stuff that you never cared for in the beginning. It was just put in your mind and reinforced by society so that you could want it, right? So that you can feel that distance and that gap, that void between what you are and what you have now, and what you could be, and the life you could have, the things you could have, right? So that's where the complexity comes in from. Not realizing that it's all just control and manipulation and influence, right? If you back off from that, you back away from it and say, I'm not taking part in that because that's a joke. Okay, I see this is going to be a problem here if I do this and this. Everyone does it this way, so do the opposite, right? If you don't have the awareness, right now where you're at, one surefire way to get better results and to have more happiness in your life is to do the opposite of what everyone's doing. If you took nothing from this video, take that. And that aligns with what I was just talking about. When everyone's doing these things, when everyone's believing this stuff, when everyone's chasing, you know, something external from them, right? They want to look better by buying these pills or this makeup, or they need to buy these clothes to make themselves feel a certain way. They need to chase these cars and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Artificial, man-made, fluffy stuff that just adds complexity and drama and stress. But you don't partake in any of that stuff. None of that affects you anymore. You're light. You're free. Whereas in most cases, the goal is to add to your life and add weight and responsibility and problems, right? That's what people are doing without realizing that. In most cases, that's the goal I need to pursue to get more. Freedom and happiness is really about letting go, about taking off, right? The more you add to your life, the heavier your life is going to be, the more weight and bogged down you're going to be. So how could you be happy? Life is supposed to be simple. But when you start pursuing all these things that are above the fundamentals, you're adding weight, right? You're adding weight. So how could you move forward? How could you have the energy all the time when you're just putting stuff on your back to carry around and putting things in your mind that you have to pursue because someone programmed you? When you take all those pieces apart, then you can see things clear. You have the clarity that you need, right? To say, you know what, I actually don't care about that, so I'm actually not going to pursue that. Or, I don't need this, I see what this is doing over here for these people. Awareness is everything. if you want to be light and free and healthy and happy, you can't partake in what everyone's partaking in. You can't be trying to add to your life externally from you, right? Because if you're the problem, you haven't gotten your own mentality and philosophy right, nothing else external to you is going to help you. Nothing, right? If you're miserable, it doesn't matter what designer clothes you have on, it doesn't matter what car you're driving, it doesn't matter who you're dating, it doesn't matter what you do for work. Your philosophy is all wrong, right? The way you're processing things and you're looking at things is wrong, so you're not getting anything out of what you think you were going to get something out of. So the point of this video is to try not to entangle yourself in all the worldly things, the things that you see on TV, the things you see on Instagram and on Facebook and the news and these videos and all this hype and all this crap. It's all distractions. It's all designed to bog you down and weigh you down to make you feel like you need something outside of yourself. When in reality, remember, to fill the void, it's to see that there is no void there. That's how you fill that. That is the only way to fill that. So if you want to be healthy, happy, and light, and feel relaxed and at peace right where you are, the only way you do it is by gaining the awareness to just take off the heavy stuff that you've been carrying your entire life, that other people put there and that you've allowed people to put there and you've taken on yourself. That doesn't need to be there. Life should be simple. That's the only way you're going to enjoy it. Life is never enjoyable when it's complicated, because you have too many things to think of, too many things to do. You have less resources because you're spread thin and you're spreading them everywhere. You have less time to enjoy life. It's supposed to be simple. So chase the simplicity in your life. You'll find that by needing less and wanting less, you'll be way happier. You can see things super clear, right? You can know exactly what you want, and you can approach it by pursuing things in the most simple way that it can be, right? If you're looking for a relationship, you say, okay, I want these things in this relationship, and these are the things that are going to make me happy in this relationship. And now you can say, I either have it or I don't, and I'm not going to accept anything less if I don't have it. And now you're clear. You're clear about it. It's not heavy. You don't have to take on someone's problems and drama. You don't have to deal with anybody's crap. I want this. This is how it should be. This should be light and simple. It should be fun. And if I don't have that, you can recognize it because you know what you want. It's simple and light. It's easy to establish. I want this or I don't want this. And it's light. When it's heavy is when you don't know what you want. You don't know what you're clear about. You don't know what you're pursuing. You're dealing with other people's stuff. You're trying to talk to other people at different times. You're taking on their problems. You have less time. And you stick with people that you shouldn't stick with. It's across the board. Jobs, relationships, material stuff. Anything that you do, keep it light and simple. The most fundamental that you can keep it, the better. You can enjoy and appreciate things because they're simple. Life is supposed to be simple, right? What do people normally do? They want to have this big house, with the views and the lake and the whatever, and you'll take 20 years to try to chase that. If you get it, good for you. But not knowing that if simple is usually inexpensive, is going about it the way that someone else said you to go about it and put it in your head is the expensive way to do it, in a time-consuming way, right? Because you can go somewhere where very few people live, so whatever you build there, whatever house that you buy there, right, it's gonna be way less expensive because you're not in a city, right? And you can have this huge lake in the back that's basically yours for way cheaper than if you were to go the way that other people teach, right? And have this multi-million-dollar home or whatever, this community, blah, blah, blah. If what you want is the lake in the back, or you just want to enjoy nature, you just want to go to a beach, that's usually cheap. That's a cheaper route. In fact, what also makes it cheap is the fact that nobody thinks that way, so they don't pursue that. So they want to do what everyone else is doing. And when you go around all these people, real estate becomes more expensive. There's less land and prices go up, and now you're trying to accomplish this goal, this dream of simplicity and a free life in an area where you're just surrounded by more problems, more people, and it costs you more to try to get that, something that you could have gotten for cheap way sooner in life, right? Simplicity. There's nature all around us, but we want it in the area where everyone's at, That's the problem, because someone told you that that's how you need to do it. So now you've added complexity and drama and weight to your life, and now you're bogged down. And now you're thinking, man, I want this dream, and it's so far away. Now you feel the difference and the gap and the variance between where you're at and where you want to be. So that messes with your mind all the time. And when you realize that you're so far from it, you may not ever even accomplish it, that also brings health problems and mental problems and issues to your life. Life should be simple, right? I find that people that have that take on disorders or have social problems, and they're just internalizing the crap that was taught to them. And when you do that, you're screwed. When you do that, you're screwed. Because you've put on that complexity. You've allowed other people to tell you how things should be, and now you're analyzing how you are in their eyes, and in their constructs, and in their box, and now that brings problems to you. So now you're you don't know how to even perceive yourself. You're not even comfortable in your own skin, because you're involved in the complexity of it. You are now participating, and you are now believing in what other people are creating and telling you all around you, because it's all fake bullshit. But when you're aware, you can say, yeah, no, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. And that doesn't affect you. Now your life is light. You're not trying to look a certain way. You don't need to be rocking some type of shoes to look or feel comfortable about yourself. How many people go out and blow tons of money on stuff they don't need just to look a certain way or feel a certain type of way. You're going to have to keep that up. And someone taught you that. Someone taught you to feel insecure so that they can sell you some crap so then you can keep buying, right? You bought into the idea, so now you're buying the actual materials. Light. Don't prescribe to other people's bullshit. If it doesn't serve you, don't even think about it. Don't let it even get into your head or in the way that you work. Don't do it. There's no need for it, right? There's something that's interesting too that I wanted to mention that I also thought about yesterday. And it goes along the lines of the complexity topic that I'm talking about. And that's that there's an entire industry, right? An entire industry in the personal development, self-help, right? An entire industry, right? Thousands and thousands of books written. Thousands and thousands of speeches and stages, right? Audios and CDs and podcasts and videos. Tons of courses out there, an insane amount. Right? And all that exists, all that complexity, all that is just, if you toned it down, right? You made it small. What is it all for, right? As I mentioned with the social media platform, what is it all for? So what is this self-help, self-development industry for? And videos like this, right? Because this falls in line with that. I particularly like this topic. And that's why I make videos like this. But what is it all for? It wouldn't exist if there wasn't a demand for it. And the only reason why there's a demand for it is because people feel like they need help outside of themselves. And this goes along in the line with what I was talking about earlier, right? Feeling like you need something outside of yourself. And in some cases, yes, you need training, you need help, you need other people's ideas and influence and stuff, and that's cool. And that's not necessarily the point. But it's so complex and massive. And really the point of it, if you think about it, people are trying to tell you, how to be motivated, and how to be happy and all this stuff. And the point of it is to essentially make your life lighter and simpler and easier, right? They're trying to rewire, reprogram. They're trying to teach you ways, right? That, like I'm doing now, that have helped them make their lives easier by looking at things differently. But if you think about it, it was simple at a certain point, right? It didn't start off complex. Your life didn't start off complex. When you were a child, your life was as simple as it's ever been, right? As it probably will ever be. And I heard this quote, and I mentioned it in another video of mine. I heard it several years ago in an internet marketing course. Well, not in the course itself. It was one of the guys I made. He was one of the kind of like the top guys, and he had done like a little podcast, a little video, and he mentioned this, and it's always stuck with me. He said, self-development and I think he got this from someone else, but he says self-development is the undoing of everything you've learned since you were 5 years old. And I thought that was brilliant, because that's so aligned with what I'm talking about now, that this entire industry exists because life is complicated, because other people have made life complicated for themselves and for other people. So we live in this big collective mass of complications and drama and expectations and opinions and beliefs and everything that goes with it. And now this industry and the people in it are trying to help others dismantle the complexities and help process and analyze things that they've been taught before and help undo some of the wiring, right? So it's exactly what I'm talking about, making your life simple. We're at the point where we've been involved in a society that makes things complex, so now the goal is to make it less complex. It's not to add to it and learn more. It's to undo what we've already learned. Which is what I'm telling you now, which is what I was talking about earlier. It's the undoing. It's so complex that we need an industry, and right, this is the self-help industry, and now you have, and if the self-help industry is this small, if it's this big, there's a whole other industry outside of that, that's, medications, right, and drugs and stuff, to try to also help you from the problems that you've taken on in life by believing in all these things and taking all this weight on your back, right? So now you have to look externally, and this is a whole other industry that's also trying to help you, right? So if you look at this, the way that I'm looking at it, the way that I see it, the way that I look at it is, it's this huge complexity that's created tons of problems. Now you've had other industries created to try to help you with all these problems, when the solution is not to take in or to learn and to put on more. It's to take off what you've already had your entire life. The problems that other people put on you. We have problems because we prescribe to other people's expectations and their systems and their opinions, right? Someone taught you how to care what other people think. Someone taught me, right, how to care what other people think. Someone taught us, like society, intentionally and not intentionally, created the idea of what expectations are for certain things, right? How a man is supposed to be, how a woman's supposed to be, how much money you should earn, what car you should be driving, right? How many followers you should have, how you should look, should you be fit, blah, blah. Everything good and everything bad has been taught. Racism is taught. Religion is taught. All of it is taught. Meaning it's man-made, and if it causes problems, more problems than it creates good, it should be done away with. And it's not going to be done away with in society, because we're never going to get to the point where we have such a collective awareness that people are going to do this. But I make this video for the person that's watching this, and this is my way of helping, because I've realized this stuff for myself. If you never opened another book, if you never watched another video, if you never listened to a podcast, if you never did any of that for the rest of your life, in some ways, you would not need it, and in some ways you'd be better off. In the sense that if you're trying to take on, you're adding more on top of what you've already been carrying. Take off. The way you take off and live light is by taking off the strings that people have tied to you. How much money should I make? Where should I live? What should be my goals? What job should I have? How should I look? How should I think about myself? What should I be wearing? Right? What phone should I have? What shoes should I have? All of that is what causes the problems, right? All of it. All of it. If you lived in a forest in another country, right? And all you had was a nice little cabin. You had a nice little car, a little Jeep or whatever, little car to drive around. Doesn't matter what the car is. And you could eat, you could drink water, and you have your shelter. Your life would be 99% more simple, and probably more, you would have more satisfaction in your life, because it would give you the space to untangle all the crap that you've had in your life that people have put on there, and you would realize that all the problems that you have were from external sources, right? All of it. All of it. Even the unhealthy food that we eat. You're not cooking that, probably. All the stuff that you buy out there, right? In stores and grocery stores. That's someone else made that. Someone else grazed it. Someone else put whatever they wanted to put in it. They process it however they wanted. Put it in this can, and put it in this box, put it in this packaging, and you buy it. You don't know where it came from, and it's probably doing harm that you don't even know about, right? There's everything out there can cause harm, right? All of it. So you have to be very careful of what you put into your body, physically and mentally. Because what you put in physically and mentally affects your entire body, your entire life. If you keep putting in crap, you're going to end up with diseases and sicknesses. And then you're going to end up looking for the other industry, the medication and drug industry, to say, help me. Well, how did you think you got these problems? Those problems are not natural problems. So I hope what you're getting in this video is what I'm saying is that life should be simple. Complexity comes from external sources, from people, from everything you want to prescribe to, other people's traditions and opinions and beliefs and expectations, and that's all crap. Life now, what personal development, what I believe it is and what it should be for everybody, is realizing that, number one, and number two, is learning how to care less. When you care less, you can think for yourself. When you think for yourself, that's when you're going to have true happiness in your life. True happiness. And you have to know exactly what you want, what your life should look like. If you feel like you need certain puzzle pieces to put together to make your life, fulfilling and satisfying and happy, cool, do that. But it should be what you want. It should be your puzzle pieces, and your puzzle pieces should be putting together the vision of what you envision your life like if it was a great life. And not take on what it sounds, oh, it would be great if I had this mansion. Someone taught you to want that mansion. You probably don't give two shits about that mansion. Oh, I would have the Ferraris. You probably don't give two shits about a Ferrari. Someone told you should want this because you feel like when you got it, you're going to feel better. Other people are going to look at you a certain way. Reassess the things that you actually care about, what you actually want. Right? Somebody might be pursuing this huge goal of trying to accomplish all these things, do all this crap. When at the end, none of it makes them happy. All they want to do is play music. When he could have bought a guitar or piano or whatever, started making music now. So assess your life. Start peeling back all the crap that you've had, all the thoughts. Question the things that you know, right? There's this quote by Wayne Dyer. He didn't actually create it. He said it on a talk. And he said, it's not what you don't know that hurts you. He said it's what you do know for certain that just ain't so. How brilliant is that? Right? And that goes right in line with what I just mentioned. It's not what you don't know. It's what you believe to be true for sure that's actually wrong. When you believe 1 + 1 is 3, your life is going to suck. So I don't want to make the video too super long, but just reassess some of the things that you believe. I question everything now. Everything. And I'm fine with that. Just because you were born into certain traditions doesn't mean it was right or it makes sense. Just because someone taught you a religion doesn't mean it's right or it makes sense or if it's accurate. None of that. Understand that you're an accumulation. You are the result of other people teaching you everything that you know that encompasses your reality, your beliefs and your traditions, and how you do everything in your life. So now you gotta start thinking for yourself. Realize that. Start pulling the pieces back. Making your life simple. Taking off the stuff that people just tell you, make you want to believe, and try to sell you and try to convince you and influence you. You are your own person. Pursue what you want. And the way to remove complexity and drama and stress and anxiety in your life, exactly what you want, and throw everything else out the window. If you didn't put it in your mind and you don't believe it to be true because you saw it by yourself, not because someone told you that's how it is, don't believe in it. Question it. Look at what life is actually showing you, right? And peel back the layers and make life simple for you. So I hope you guys got something out of that. Let me know if you have any questions. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.